It's time for Recipe of the Day. Happy Friday. We've made it. And this one is extra special because it is the Friday of Memorial Day long weekend. And I don't know about you, but I am celebrating and grilling. So today I'm telling you about how to make the best St. Louis ribs. They're tender, flavorful, fall off the bone. And I'm going to be telling you how to cook them the way that I always cook them, which ends up just coincidentally being great for a make-ahead entree if you're having a party, because you do the low and slow part and then you can finish them off on the grill or under the broiler right away or 2 days later, whenever you want. They are so easy and convenient for that. So first, what are St. Louis ribs? If you are at the grocery store and you see them, buy them. I think they are way better than baby back ribs. People rave about their baby backs, but baby back ribs have a lot of loin meat on them, that white pork meat, and it just doesn't benefit from long, slow cooking. It doesn't have the cartilage and the fat and all that stuff in there to really render down and be extra juicy. They're good. They're really good. They're really meaty, but they don't get just as juicy, meaty, flavorful. You know what I mean? So if you see St. Louis ribs, those are my choice for slow cooking, fall off the bone, delicious ribs. Having said that, if you don't see St. Louis ribs, but you do see spare ribs, I'm going to be telling you more about them soon. But what you need to know is that actually St. Louis ribs are what is trimmed from spare ribs. You get spare ribs, it's really kind of wide, and then you trim off the little nubs of cartilage along the top. Those are actually rib tips or rib ends that you can cook, and those are delicious too. And then what's left are the ribs. And if you go to the blog post for the St. Louis ribs on Cook the Story, go to cookthestory.com, search for St. Louis ribs, then you will see pictures of this. I've taken the side by side of the spare ribs and of the St. Louis ribs, so you can see what needs to be trimmed away. Either way, you're going to have delicious ribs, I promise. You know what? Before I move on, I just want to say that if you do have baby back ribs and you own an air fryer, definitely go and check out my air fryer ribs recipe on Cook the Story. I just made it again the other day and I was blown away. They're really quick because, again, it's that loin meat. You don't really necessarily want the low and slow. So you're doing it, it's 35 minutes at one temperature and then 10 minutes at another. Then you cut them into ribs and sauce them. They were amazing. So if you have baby backs and you want to try them in the air fryer, definitely go and look for that on Cook the Story. Okay, back to the St. Louis ribs. I'm going to be giving you instructions for how to do these in the oven and on the grill for the low and slow start part, and then instructions for how to finish them off under the broiler, on the grill, or in the air fryer. So where do we start with these St. Louis ribs? Preheat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit or prepare your grill for cooking over indirect heat at a medium temperature. Then you're going to lay out 2 sheets of aluminum foil and you are putting your 3-pound-ish rack of St. Louis ribs on there. And then in a small bowl, mix together a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a tablespoon of smoked paprika, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of mustard powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. So you see there's sweet from the sugar, a little smokiness from that paprika. You can use smoked sea salt instead of regular salt. That is wonderful, but there is saltiness there. Aromatics, the garlic, onion, pepper, a little bit of heat from the pepper, and the mustard powder, a little bit of heat. And I also think it kind of reminds me of some of those barbecue sauces that are more mustardy. You're just getting a little bit of those notes in there. Mix that together in a bowl and then sprinkle half of it on the side of the ribs that is up facing you. Pat it with your hand a little bit, flip it over. The other half of the seasonings goes on the other side. And then you want your ribs to end up being, I think of it as meat side down in their foil, whether you are doing this in the oven or on the grill. So if you think of each individual rib as kind of a little bit C-shaped, because it's kind of rounded, you want that rounded side down. So the open part of the C up. And you'll see that has the meatier side down. The side where you can see the actual bone better is up. And that's just because there's going to be some nice juices coming out of the meat. And we want those to be on the meat and not barely touching anything. You know what I mean? Okay, so once those have been seasoned up, put them so they are meaty side down and then wrap the foil up over around them so it's nice and sealed. And then if you're doing this in an oven, you put it on a baking sheet that's bigger than your rack so that nothing risks dripping out into your oven. That would be awful. And then that goes into the oven for an hour and a half, or you could put that wrapped rib with the seal side up, meat side down inside, right on the indirect heat of your grill, lid closed, for an hour and a half. So these are just slow cooking, juicy, in there, nice little bit of steam in there, all that flavor. Then after the hour and a half, you open up the foil. So if it's in the oven, you take the pan out, open the foil so that the ribs are exposed, and then they're going back into that 300-degree Fahrenheit oven for another hour and a half, or opened foil back on the grill, indirect heat still for an hour and a half. And that just starts to kind of dry or crisp them a little bit. It's just doing a little bit of a crust on the outside. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like a real caramelization, but it kind of is caramelizing it a little bit, more flavor, and just not, we don't want wet steamed ribs, right? We want a little bit of texture on the outside, but they're still slow cooking. So you're still getting that working towards fall off the bone tenderness. Okay, so now they have been cooking for 3 hours at a low temperature. They are definitely fully cooked. They are definitely really juicy and tender and great. And now it is up to you if you're going to serve them now or if you're serving them in a couple of days. And they are good in the fridge in a sealed container at this point for up to 3 days. So whichever way you're doing it, you want to let them cool off just a little bit, like any meat when it's been cooking, just let those juices inside settle a little bit. And then you cut them into individual rib portions, or maybe you like 2 ribs together, or you're doing half racks, whatever you're doing, cut them and then either into the refrigerator or you brush them all over with barbecue sauce. Each rib is getting that barbecue sauce. I don't like a ton of sauce on mine. So for 1 rack, 3/4 cup of barbecue sauce is perfect. I'm going to link to my favorite homemade barbecue sauce. It's a sweet, smoky, a little bit spicy sauce. I love it. I will link to that for you, but I'll tell you, I usually just use Sweet Baby Ray's Original when I want to buy something at the store. Just perfect, simple barbecue sauce. So you brush that all over, and then you're just wanting to get a little bit of char on those ribs. So now if you are doing this on the grill, and just think about this, like you have a party going on, there's people over, everybody's hungry, and you've got these ribs that are fully cooked. Maybe you made them the day before. They're sauced and beautiful, and you're slapping them on that hot grill. It's going to smell amazing. They're going to char up. People are going to dig in, and they're going to be amazed, and you're like doing nothing because you did all the thinking and work previously. I love that for a party. So if you're doing them on the grill, you are preheating your grill for direct cooking over medium heat. And then those sauced, fully cooked ribs are going on there in a single layer, and you can cook them covered or uncovered. It doesn't really matter. The heat's coming from the bottom, and you're cooking them until there are dark spots underneath forming. That's about 4 or 5 minutes. Then flip them over, and you are cooking them until there are dark spots on the bottom and they're heated through. So if they were still warm because you just did the whole pre-cooking thing, then they're good for sure. But even if they are cold from the fridge, they are probably done at that point. I will say when I'm doing them like cold from the fridge, because I cooked them the day before, I do usually take them out like 20 minutes before I'm going to cook them. So then they are definitely heated through at this point. If you're doing these in the oven under the broiler, you are putting them on a broiling rack, something that is safe under your broiler. You want the ribs themselves to end up being about 6 inches from those broiler heat elements at the top of the oven. And you're putting those sauced ribs on that pan. And same thing, 4 to 5 minutes just until dark spots are appearing on top. Flip them over and cook until there are dark spots on the other side and they are heated through. Finally, the air fryer. You just pile them in there. They don't have to be in a single layer, really. Like they could be 2 or 3 deep, the ribs in the air fryer, and you're doing 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Those sauced, fully cooked ribs are in there for 6 minutes. Open it up, move them around, and then cook them for 3 minutes at a time until they're heated through and there are dark spots in many places. It depends on how many ribs you're doing at a time, but it's not that long. It's going to be the first 6 minutes and then 3 minutes, give them another stir, and probably another 3 to 4 minutes, and they are good to go. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there, or find it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/recipeotd. And hey, just a quick note. I'm on a recording hiatus right now, so for the next little while, I'm replaying episodes from the archives, including this one. If you heard me mention a holiday, a season, or something going on in my life that seemed a bit off, that's why. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying these older episodes. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, cookfor2.us, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.